examination, then you should just automatically understand that all of us who aren't Catholic are all heretics by the same measure. The whole point is nobody can totally and completely explain the Godhead. Nobody is astute enough, intellectual enough, and has enough revelatory experience to explain the Godhead. And, interestingly enough, John said, these things were written that you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and believing you might have life through his name. So nobody has to understand the Trinity or oneness in order to be saved. It is very interesting because now you're asking yourself the question, are we declaring oneness to be heretical because we want to eliminate some people? Or are we seeking truth? Are we willing to listen, to have a conversation? Or are we simply going to say the Nicene Creed or the Nicene Conference decided that Sibelius was heretical because he didn't believe in three persons? He believed one God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And to make that very simple, I'm a husband, so I'm a comforter. I'm a father. I have children. And I am a son, because I have a father. But I'm only one person. Now, if you understand the Trinity, there are three persons, but one God. Well, the only person in the Godhead is Jesus, because he's the only one who could be defined as a person in the same sense that we are people. It's interesting because when you study Augustine, and here's the reason I'm being this elaborate, is because if you're seeking truth, you have to have information. If you don't have information and you're going by what the Catholic Church said in the 1500s or the 14th century, then you're simply just reiterating something they said without even examining it, because you want to put somebody down who doesn't believe the tradition that you have accepted. All right? So if I were to sweeten the argument, have you ever heard the expression WASP? W-A-S-P. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Right? Now, if by the same measure I am going to be fair, and I'm going to say whatever the Universal Church or the Catholic Church has decided to be heretical or not heretical, to be doctrinally sound or not doctrinally sound, then I would ask the WASP, how can you be Protestant and not be a heretic? Now give some consideration to what I'm saying. Luther was the Protestant, and Luther nailed 95 theses on the Wittenberg Cathedral door. That was his position, opposing Catholicism's doctrinal expression. And that church called him a heretic. And even till today, he is heretical to them because he divided the church and actually started the Western Christian culture. So if you were going to say that anyone who does not believe like the Catholic Church in relationship to Noetus and Sibelius, and they're heretics, and you're going to take that without examination, then you should just automatically understand that all of us who aren't Catholic are all heretics by the same measure. The whole point is nobody can totally and completely explain the Godhead. Nobody is astute enough, intellectual enough, and has enough revelatory experience to explain the Godhead. And, interestingly enough, John said, these things were written that you might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and believing you might have life through his name. So nobody has to understand the Trinity or oneness in order to be saved. Because the intellectual aspect and the revelatory aspect is so intense and so great, it's beyond us. I can corner any Trinitarian in any conversation, and they'll tell me they can't go any further. So it's unexplainable. The first question I'd ask is the consciousness of the Holy Spirit separate from the consciousness of Jesus, separate from the consciousness of God. Are we dealing with three separate consciousnesses? Augustine said, we use the word persons because we don't have anything else to use. We, as oneness, say manifestations. But a pillar of cloud by day is a manifestation. A pillar of fire by night, a pillar of fire by night is a manifestation. But that's not on the same level as the Holy Spirit, the Son, and the Father. So manifestations is weak. Persons is weak. So all of us are arguing over what we can't explain. The Trinitarian is so busy separating the three that we end up with three gods. The oneness is so busy making them one, we end up with the Father and the Son and the Father and the Holy Spirit not functioning. So at the end of the day, what we have is a need to take the whole history and study it to see which position we'll take, because it ain't a heaven or hell thing. Isn't it interesting how easily, and Paul says, don't spend time